because you're a cabinet minister and they have oversight. They'll ask you questions, you take them through your objections. Remember when Sanusi Lamido Sanusi was governor of the central bank and the Senate summoned him and they said he should not go, but he went. And by the time he finished, he earned more respect. I may even add, when I was chair of the National Human Rights Commission in 2012, I said some things about police extrajudicial executions, and the police wanted to chew me up. They invited me in April, 16th of April 2012, that I should appear. And the people said you should not go. How can they do this? They will arrest chairman of National Human Rights Commission. I said, fine. I'm a Nigerian public officer. The police is our police. Okay? So I went there. They interrogated me pretty much for one day. I went with my lawyers, including the late Bamidele Aturu. They interrogated me for one day, but at the end of that, we came away with greater and a more enhanced respect for one another. Because they knew I was not irresponsible in how I had come by my numbers, and they knew I had respect for them, and therefore we could dialogue in better ways after that. I think we have a missed opportunity here, and I think our public officers can show better examples.
Now, another issue that is burning that a lot of us are looking at again is the issue in the Abia governorship tussle between Mr. Oga and the governor, Mr. Ikpeazu, on the single judgment from Justice Okonabank's court over the fact that Mr. Oga should be handed a certificate of return. It's been a very big legal debate. At this point, there have been criticism about, INEC shouldn't have handed him the certificate of return. In this kind of legal conundrum, what do you make of the way out?
I don't comment on judgments I've not read. That's a basic rule I've had for over 20 years. And there are at least 3 judgments and court orders in this Abia situation at the moment. There is Honorable Justice Okonabank's judgment. There is Honorable Justice Alagua's judgment, also of the Federal High Court sitting in Owerri. And there is another judgment or order an order or ruling of the Abia State High Court. I've not read any of those, and I think it will be a fool's errand for me to comment on the situation. I'd like to hope that the courts can address the situation professionally, fairly, and as the cases work themselves up the judicial ladder, common sense will prevail.
One of the issues is the seemingly clashes between courts of coordinate jurisdiction and how these things have panned out, and of course politicians relying on some of this confusion for their own benefits.
I think our courts can be better structured so that judges know contemporaneously what they're doing in the respective jurisdictions. With ICT's information and communications technologies capabilities available to us, it's got to be possible to set up the court system in such a way that various courts are aware of what's happening in other courts and don't needlessly undermine one another. So that's what I take away from this. But I'm not going to get caught up in the specific details of the decisions.
All right.
Prof, the judges will deal with it.
Prof, let me quickly, just in a few minutes that we have, the Constitution Amendment is ongoing. And one interesting part was that the House of Assembly, the House of Reps were considering the 2014 Confab report. That's very strange for some of us.
Why?
The National Assembly has not really considered thinking about the Confab report.
Why not?
Some of the national lawmakers have spoken publicly against it in the last assembly. And so one would be wondering that, what do we, are we going in that right direction of achieving some of the recommendations, bringing them into reality?
Again, you see, this place is called the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We don't have to like one another, but you know what? We can do business together and move the country forward. Now, I think this tendency to think, we are saints because we are now in power and all the other people who came before us were sinners is history. It should be history. Those who go into public service have got to agree to work with people whom they don't like, including people whom they beat in elections. Now, President Jonathan got some things wrong, got some things right. And President Buhari will get some things wrong and get some things right. And I hope that those who succeed anybody will take the right things and make the best of them. The National Conference did not have people from Mars appearing in it. These were Nigerians who deliberated on the future of their country. And they were not just ordinary Nigerians. These were some of the best our country has produced, right? And to simply sit down and say, we will not even read what they did, seems to me to sound stupid, with all due respect. It just doesn't make sense. Let's at least read what they produced. educate ourselves about what they said, and then decide what we do with it. So I like the idea, personally, that the National Assembly has opened its mind to the possibility that there could be good out of aspects of that report. And if there are parts that they don't agree with, let them not agree with them. But let's first open ourselves to the possibility of reading the report and understanding that. And, you know, people talk about restructuring. And I don't want to go without addressing that specifically. I prefer to use the expression reimagine. But when you talk about restructuring, people talk about creating more states, but there are lots of things about the structure we can rethink. One is the fiscal possibilities of our country. A lot of the states are insolvent, can't pay their way, and 36 states are obviously not serviceable anymore. And as we go forward, we've got to rethink how that is done. But the second is minimum wage. Federal minimum wage has got to go. I'm prepared to stick my neck out and say we can no longer sustain a federal minimum wage. Now, you cannot live in Lagos.
Is in an exclusive section of the Constitution, isn't it?
Labor and productivity is not exclusive.
How come it does affect all the same, what the federal government adopts?
Now, this is my point. And I think this is not something really that we can argue. It's just that people are afraid of NLC, and we can't continue to be afraid of NLC, particularly if NLC is not doing its homework. Now, you live in Ebonyi State and want to collect Lagos salaries, but cost of living in Ebonyi is different from Lagos. Cost of living in Port Harcourt is different from Kefi or Birnin Kebbi, right? Cost of living in Kano is not the same thing as the cost of living in Yenagoa. But we want to equalize people in that manner, in a manner that is not related to productivity. Because our country is based on allocation and not productivity. We've got to change that.
Thank you so much, Professor Chidi Odikal, former national chairman of the NHRC. Many thanks for coming on the program.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, we go on a short break. And when we return, about 500 people are said to have been killed by herdsmen in 2016 alone. Today, they struck again. Join us for more on this. As a governor from the north central region of the country, join us for this conversation. We'll be right back.